Hey everybody. So for this video, I want to talk about a man that, in a ways, had a lot of impact on me. Today, Roger Ebert died. He passed away with, I think, thyroid cancer or some form of cancer, and he was 70 years old, from what I gathered. Um, but let me say this: I mean, the man just really inspired me to do what I'm doing here. He made a show called At the Movies a while back, and he came up with this idea of um, two guys sitting together in a movie theater setting and talking about the latest movies, whether it's good or bad. They critiqued it and they let you know what their opinion was on the film, and they let you know if you should or shouldn't see certain movies. Just their take on it and if they would recommend the movie to you. Um, After seeing these for several, well, no, because I saw this show, when I was in my teen, early adult years. So basically, my experience with At the Movies was what it was like later on, with Richard Roper and Roger Ebert, or through YouTube. There's also like a Roger Ebert database or something like that I found that has a majority of their filmed reviews on there. But through that, I sat down one night and decided to do my own movie reviews also. So basically, one of the many people that inspired me to sit down, talk about films, talk about film discussions, or actors and actresses or directors. Roger Ebert was one of those directors that taught me to do that. He was one of the guys that inspired me to sit down and talk about how I felt about certain things. Um, so I just really wanted to make this video about this man because he just inspired me in so many ways, both in writing and through film. I've seen a lot of his written reviews on his website, a lot for the Chicago Sun-Times. The classic two thumbs up rating came from him and Gene Siskel. That's always been a quote that stayed with me ever since I was a kid. Um, when I first became big into film, people were saying to me, "Wow, you're the Roger Ebert of Madison, Wisconsin." And some might take that offensively, but I kind of took it as an honor because I do kind of view myself as kind of this film critic, or this guy that knows a lot about films, and I'm on kind of both sides of the fence in that case. I'm the guy that would like to make movies someday, possibly, and I'm also the kind of guy that would say, you know what, I would also have no problem critiquing films for a living. I would have no problem, working for the Chicago sometimes and review, films for them. So basically, Roger Ebert had a lot of impact on me. I mean, I've read a lot of his. Well, I didn't read the whole thing, but I've read most of Life Itself, which is a book by him, talking about his life and kind of his view on film and what kind of inspired him to be a film critic, kind of what landed him a job as being a film critic. He talked about his experience with Gene Siskel in it, and yeah. So ever since I heard the news, guys, I mean, I've just been kind of down on my luck. I mean, um, and also another thing that Roger Ebert does too that I've kind of taken, been inspired by him from what he said was, he always goes into films as a certain kind of the audience that the film is intended for. So, like, if he goes into an action film, he goes into the film kind of thinking in the way that someone who would like action films would think as they're watching the movie. He was definitely the man too that taught me that storyline is very important in film, and that when you make an action film or a comedy or a horror film, storyline is always big. It's always important. It's always something that makes the film the film. You can make any film you want, but it has to have a point. It has to have a reason for existing. It has to have, a reason why it chose the genre that it did and why it's a part of that genre. Um, and he's also the guy that also said, you know what? Sometimes there's going to be directors that have a completely different approach on things, and you can either take it in for what it is, or you can, if you don't get the symbolism, then that means the symbolism doesn't work. So all those kind of concepts came from Roger Ebert, and he shared those with the world. And to be honest, he definitely influenced the way I think about certain films. There has been some films, obviously, like any film critic, where you disagree with what they said. But at the same time, though, if you really look closely at what they said, sometimes it makes sense why they didn't like the film, or it makes sense why, if you didn't like the film but they did, they might have a good reason for why they liked the film. Um, Also, Roger Ebert was definitely the man that taught me, that there's more to life than just action scenes in the movie. There's more to life than just some good jokes in a comedy film. He definitely taught me kind of the layering it takes to make a good film. Because when I was a kid, if it was a funny film that I laughed at, more than likely I would watch it again several times. Or if it was an action film that I liked, more than likely there were some action scenes in there that I liked to watch, and I had no problem watching it several more times. Getting older, I've learned that, sometimes almost kind of limiting yourself on certain films almost makes the film more contemporary and more special because you didn't expose yourself to it too often. But there's times in your life where you rewatch it again and you remember why it's so special. Roger Ebert also said that if the film doesn't feel new during several viewings, more than likely there's something about the film that didn't work. But if it does feel new every time you watch it, or there's something new that you kind of noticed about that you didn't notice the previous times you watched it, a good example would be Inception, at least for me anyway. More than likely, that director made a very well done film that takes multiple viewings in order to really appreciate the entirety of the film. Um, so yeah, Roger Ebert had a huge impact on me, you guys. I still go back on YouTube every once in a while, or the Roger Ebert database, and just watch a lot of his stuff just to kind of get inspired and kind of remind myself what a good structured movie review is like. Always state the positives, always state the negatives. Tell the story, but don't tell so much of the story that the person just got the story spoiled to them. So they, give them enough, but not so much that they can't see the film now. Yeah, he inspired me in many ways, and I just want to send my virtual condolences to him and his family, and to everybody who was inspired by him and who has worked with him and has, basically the man that's worked with and has collaborated with and has made people who they are today. The classic two thumbs up line, that came from him. That came from him and Gene Siskel. And I'm sorry I'm ranting on here and repeating myself, but yeah, he's done so much for me, and I'm gonna miss him. I'm gonna we have Richard Roper and Leonard Maltin and all those guys still, but the man himself, Roger Ebert, the number one film critic, is gone now. Um, so I just wanted to make a video about it. I really miss Roger Ebert already, and it hasn't even been a day yet since he passed. I filmed this on the day he actually passed away. Um, but I just wanted to give you guys some kind of my condolences and kind of my viewpoint on Roger Ebert. I really miss him a lot already. He went through a lot, guys. He lost his voice box, and he had only the pen and paper to tell his reviews for a while. Um, I'm gonna miss him, guys, and yeah, I just want to kind of state my opinion on him, and I hope you guys heard the news already. And I'm sorry I'm ranting here, so I think I'll just end the video here. And yeah, I'm just kind of still getting over things. So